Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. If you want to have peace, you have to prepare for war. But that is valid for all sides, not only for our side, but the other side when it arms as a problem. When we arm, it's okay. We use this little saying. What's going on here? The Russians are preparing for a multi-pronged offensive, adding 15 divisions in 2025. President's Office of Ukraine says. That's the first topic for this video. The second one is the Ukrainians will receive more F-16s and pilots, and the country of Bulgaria, a NATO member state, gets new F-16s from the United States of America. I will show you on the map where Bulgaria is. And then the last topic for this video is Trump makes some claims regarding Ukraine and NATO, and Zelensky contradicts Trump, which is, I tell you, you're not invited in my party, but you say, I think I am. Isn't it my party? All right, so that's about NATO membership for Ukraine. Let's start with the first article. New Voice of Ukraine, April 3rd, 2025. Russia prepares for multi-pronged offensive, adding 15 divisions in 2025. The Kremlin is poised to launch another major offensive in Ukraine, targeting several directions at once. The deputy head of the president's office, Pavlo Palisa, said on April 3rd. In a comment to public broadcaster Suspline, Palisa specified that Ukrainian intelligence suggests Moscow is planning to grow its military by 150,000 troops this year. To grow. Roughly the equivalent of 15 motorized infantry divisions. Their build-up is ongoing. The Russians have no problem with manpower. Are you surprised? If you're surprised, that means you're a baboon, because you should have known this before you agreed to allow the Westerners use you like a badge against the Russians. And I'm quoting, but it's important to understand that these formations cannot all be deployed at once. They are expected to concentrate their efforts on the fronts where they can press their advantage. Captain Obvious. They are achieving some tactical success, but a very high cost, this guy said. If they can afford it, they will continue to prolong the fighting. While the enemy makes gains in some areas, we are counterattacking and achieving results as well. Okay. So, yes, I made a video, I think 2 days ago, where these guys were all agitated that the Americans, Putin's gonna increase, he's going to have about 160,000 conscripts, new conscripts in his military. And I said, well, this is, I think, their annual. I think the Russia has 2 times where they, just draft people in the army, and then, it's called, I think, turnover of their military, which you have 100,000, 150,000 or 160,000 troops coming in, 160 going home, and so on. It's rotating, or prepares the newer generation. That happened in Romania as well in communist times, when after high school or after you graduate college, if you were in college, you were required to go in and do military service for 9 months as a college graduate, 1 year and 6 months, 1 year and a half if you just finished high school. So maybe that's what it is. And the Russians, yes, are getting ready for some more action, because you are also getting ready for some more action. New Voice of Ukraine. This is from April 4th, 2025, which is today. Ukraine to receive more F-16 jets. Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. So those guys are getting ready with that. You guys are getting ready with this. Obviously, they are at it. And why shouldn't they? Since, they can't find a common denominator yet. Ukraine will receive additional F-16 fighter jets. The Supreme Allied Commander said during a U.S. Senate hearing on April 3rd. He did not specify how many aircraft would be transferred, but noted that exact numbers could be disclosed in a closed session. This guy, the general, noted that Ukrainian forces are actively using the F-16s, stating that the jets are flying daily. Ooh, I have a question. Why shouldn't we know the number? What if it's, do you think the Russians don't know it yet? I think the Russians will know as soon as these guys decide to a number. It says, however, the general clarified that none of the F-16s now in Ukraine were delivered by the United States. Most of the aircraft have been transferred by European countries, the Netherlands and Denmark, so they can get others. But now, right there, pilot training, look at them, they're pilot training in Romania, in Poland, in Belgium, the Netherlands, United Kingdom, Portugal, Denmark, Norway. These guys are Canada, United States of America, supposedly. All right, so let's go to the next article where we're going to find out that actually the Bulgarians are receiving F-16s as well. Associated Press, the first of 16 new F-16s fighter jets from the US land in Bulgaria, April 2nd, 2025. So 16 new F-16s, but we can't find out how many will land in Ukraine, supposedly. Now, where is that located? This is Ukraine. Obviously, the Russians are in this area. All right, they dwell that way. And you have here Romania, and Bulgaria is in the south of Romania. Right here is Bulgaria. So from here, you immediately can go and visit, if you want, the Crimean Peninsula, or you can go on the other side to Krasnodar Krai in this area, or you go to Rostov. So just cross or fly over the Black Sea. But the Russians should not be concerned whatsoever. Why? Because, you know, the Bulgarians are reacting to the Russian aggression in Ukraine. You got it? That's the narrative. You have to put it in your head. So let's see how Trump gets contradicted by the great leader of Ukraine, the Zelensky Stein. All right, this is what Trump says. Sputnik, Trump administration accepts Ukraine will not become NATO member. Dmitriev was at the White House, spoke with Witkov Stein, right? Because we have Zelensky Stein in Ukraine, we got Witkov Stein in... Witkov Stein is the U.S. envoy for the Middle East, but somehow he deals with his buddy Zelensky Stein in Ukraine. For people who have, you know, questions about geography, Ukraine is not in the Middle East. Okay, all right, let's put that to bed. The idea of Ukraine not joining NATO is widely accepted, including by the administration of the U.S. President Donald Trump. Special envoy of Russian President for Investment and Economic Cooperation, Kirill Dmitriev, said on Thursday that this guy was sanctioned by Americans until about 3 days ago, when they lifted the sanctions so he can come to Washington, D.C. He recalled in an interview with Fox News that Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Ukraine's accession to NATO is impossible. That was one of the main reasons. And I'm quoting, the Trump administration, in contrast to President Joe Biden, understands Russia's position and acknowledges its concerns. While there are certainly disagreements on various issues, we believe that ongoing processes and dialogue can help bridge these gaps. Specifically, we discussed a range of economic and investment topics, and we noted a strong interest from American companies in re-entering the Russian market. Excellent for you. Good. This is Dmitriev. He's educated at Harvard, so I have some how should I put it, concerns with Dmitriev, and I will explain why. I'm not saying that is what is going on here. And you don't know what you're really, you vet them, you see who was what when you appoint someone in a position as a bureaucrat, but really you don't know for whom exactly they work. And if you have many of these guys as a second echelon, they will just pull the carpet from underneath your feet. That's exactly what happened to Ceausescu. Ceausescu was, you know, left, was, how should I put it, some traitors activated beneath him, and he was just left alone, and he's got his fate. Why? Because the guys underneath, General Atanasie Stănculescu, was an MI6. He was the general who said, go on that helicopter over there, run, run, Forrest, run. And Ceausescu jumped on that helicopter, the helicopter flew, and then the helicopter dropped them in the middle of a field, nowhere, by a highway. That's what happened with the Ceausescus. And who was that? Victor Atanasie Stănculescu. He was an MI6, and nevertheless, he was not the only one. So the same here. I know Vitkov and others, if they, really work for the interests of the Russian Federation, but we're going to find out. You can say, well, they're under supervision, they are monitored and so on. Yeah, it's true. So was Stănculescu. But the problem is, what if the guys who monitor you are on the same side? All right, so let's see what Zelensky says. Russia Today, Zelensky contradicts Trump's on NATO membership. The US president earlier said the Ukrainian leader understood that Kiev was never going to join the bloc. Ukraine could still become a member of NATO despite opposition to the idea from the administration of US President Donald Trump. Vladimir Zelensky has insisted. Trump lashed out at the Ukrainian leader. Why do you keep saying this is Ukraine? I don't understand. I mean, it's not like the United States of America, a pluribus unum. This is clearly Ukrainian, as I am Zimbabwean. Trump lashed out at the Ukrainian leader earlier this week, saying he wants to be a member of NATO. Well, he was never going to be a member of NATO. He understands that. However, during a meeting with the heads of territorial communities of Chernigov region, Zelensky made it clear that he has not yet given up on his long-standing ambitions of joining the US-led bloc. And I'm quoting, "You know who does not support Ukraine's membership in NATO so far, but in any case, no one is removing this issue from the table for the future." All right, at least we are talking about the fact that even if now someone does not want to support Kiev joining the bloc, we will see what happens in the future. And it is absolutely correct. Administrations come and go, people are born and die. So the same, Mr. Trump's administration is going to last some time, but then it's going to come to an end, and you don't know what's happening after that. The same with the Germans right now. Compare the Germans right now and compare the Germans in 1944, for instance. Not the same Germans. Compare Japan, if you want, in 1904, Tsushima Strait, surprise attack on the Tsar's, I think Alexander, I can't remember if it was Alexander's fleet in the Strait of Tsushima, with Japan right now. Not the same people, not the same camp, not the same balls. The same here, it's true, but that could happen to the United States of America as well. That could happen to Russia. Things change. So yes, he contradicts Trump, saying, we're gonna wait. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.